All right. I am Austin Light with American Demon Comics, and I'm joined by Brandon Ingram with Dismay Comics, and we're here to talk about our businesses and pop culture stuff and paranormal stuff because that's what we're into. How is it going, Brandon?
Things are going good. I'm in a chipper mood this morning because the past 2 or 3 days I've been writing some really funny scripts that I like. The wheels are turning.
Awesome. Um, what's on the docket? Has there been new developments in art and anything that's not going to be in DA right now?
So Gallows Man number 3 is literally almost done. We have like 3, maybe 4 more pages left of that. So that'll be a Kickstarter release in the fall or something. And then Dismay Avenue number 3 is also close to that. It's almost done. Not as much as Gallows Man 3, but we're finishing that up. That'll be done in the next 2 or 3 months. And instead of trying to put them so close, the Gallows Man 3 and that one, I might just put that one as like a January or February release on Kickstarter. Um, and then these 2 other series are going fantastic.
Okay.
That I'm going to pitch to publishers and stuff. One of the issues, the pencils and inks are almost done. We just have like 2 pages left, and then I'm going to send it off to a colorist. And I think I've nailed down a colorist. I think I have. And then that's the thing is, so there's Gallows Man, Dismay Avenue, these 2 other things, and then I'm writing like 2 or 3 other series right now, and I already have 2 series already finished writing that I'm not even working on with an artist. It's I'm enjoying the writing, like I
Mm-hmm.
really am. It's one of those things where I just I want to get it out, but it's going good.
Awesome. With the uh, Kickstarters, um, what's your kind of standard tier you go with on Kickstarter? What's a must have in the beginning, the middle, and the final?
Um, Ones that need to be there for a Kickstarter that I've seen, the one that some people exclude from their Kickstarter, but they need to have it because you're losing hundreds of dollars by not having it, is a digital
Mm-hmm.
tier, like a digital PDF tier of the comic. Because one, it's cheaper. That's like one of the biggest factors is it's cheaper for the people because if you're doing physical, like printing the book and shipping it,
Yeah.
it's going to cost the customer more because it's costing
Mm-hmm.
you more to do that. Um, but having an affordable digital tier is very enticing to people because they may not know anything about you. But if it's
Right.
like $5 digital tier, or $8 digital tier, or even like $10 digital tier, if it's like more than one book, they'll be like, yeah, I'm willing to pay that much. That's not a lot. I can check out their stuff. So for that, it's really good, as well as your international crowd.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to have some people that live in Germany, Switzerland, Australia. Like these are some of the places I'm remembering having to ship to. Canada, you will have a good bit in Canada. You will have people who want the physical book, even though it's costing them 25, $35 shipping.
Yeah.
But they want the physical book. But having that PDF copy, it makes it so much more accessible to those outside the United
Oh
States.
yeah.
Because not saying that's where most of my PDF copies are sold, but like I get a lot of sales outside of country through Kickstarter because of those PDF copies, because they people want to support me, but and I completely understand they don't want to pay $50 or whatever for like a single issue
For sure.
because of shipping. Um,
Yeah, the
so,
digital PDFs are going to be invaluable because they're
oh yeah,
already there. You've already made them. They already had to be made for the printers. and it's already like 95% set up, and you're just losing money to not finish that out and
And
take advantage
yeah,
of it.
that's the thing is like with the digital PDFs, the money that comes in with that, like it's not saying it is this because it costs you to make the book, either your time or you're paying someone to do the art or lettering or whatever it may be, or cover art, whatever it may be. Um, it's free money for you as a creator. Like you already have the PDF made, um, like before you even started looking for a physical distributor, before
Right.
you started looking for a printer. It's something that like you just have ready. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to ship
Hmm.
it to anyone. You don't have to physically print it and pay $3-4 a book or whatever. Um, it's yeah, and it just makes it easier for those outside the country or people that don't want to spend as much and just check your stuff out. That's the one that I think is like the most under, I'm trying to think of the right word, maybe undervalued tier of people that run Kickstarters, because you're going to get more readers
I want to
doing that.
I want to share something. I was in the Comic Lab Discord, and there was a guy that was doing a Kickstarter. And to kind of help support him, I checked out the Kickstarter, and the first tier was $2, and it had the digital PDF. But the bro only had up to like a $5 or $8 tier max.
Oh
So
wow.
he had a $3,000 goal, and he made a $2,000, like he ended on $2,000
Yeah.
for his Kickstarter. And I'm sitting here like, bro, you can up the prices here. Like you
He
can.
he would have made the 3,000
Hmm.
if he had like the correct pricing. What was do you remember how many backers he had?
Oh, I don't know. It was like several hundred. It was like
So
anywhere
so
from
it's over
150 to a
100.
two.
Okay.
Yeah, it was over 100.
If he had priced it better, like this is just like this isn't that much, but simply doubling all of his prices. And again, that's still pretty cheap for a Kickstarter,
And it
even
was good
doubling those
work.
prices.
It
Yeah.
wasn't like shoddy stuff.
Yeah, even doubling those prices, like he would have made his goal, and people wouldn't have been upset either because it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, $4 to $16. That's not bad at all. Um,
All
Even
right.
then, that's like very low for a Kickstarter.
What's your middle tier, Brandon?
Middle tier, it's the one that I do that I think does very well. It's pretty much like my $25 tier, not including shipping. It's usually the book, and I with every book I do a variant cover, only one. I'm
Hmm.
not doing A through Z variant covers. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of that. Um, but it's the main cover, the variant cover, both signed by me. This is where it's the first tier set where you actually get signatures. But it's both of them, both signed by me, as well as like a ton of digital stuff. You obviously get the digital comics, but you get the scripts, so you can look at those and see like you can learn from it, good stuff, or you can learn from it and be like, he sucks at writing. I'm learning from that maybe. Um, but you get that. You also get a sticker bundle. Like stickers aren't too expensive for us to make. Get a sticker bundle for the book and a couple other things. But it's like I usually, whatever Kickstarter is, I usually call that like the great value bundle. Um,
Hmm.
Not in terms of like Walmart great value, because when you hear that, it's like, some of that is kind of crap. No, no, no. Like an
This is
actual
store
great
brand.
value. Like an actual great value. Because usually my physical copies are like if it's just one book, like going back in the tiers, my physical copies are usually like 9 or 10 bucks plus shipping. So it's
Hmm.
one book. Uh, I think you get the PDF copy, but that's
Right.
really it. Um, and altogether with shipping, that's like 17, 18 bucks. Whereas that great value bundle, you're paying 30, 32 bucks. It's like $10 to $15 more, and you're getting both covers, as well as they're both signed, as
Mm-hmm.
well as the sticker bundle, as well as all these PDF things like scripts and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
just like $10 to $15 more, and you're getting so much more out of it, to where
Yeah.
you as a customer, you're like, yeah, like I'll pay $10, $15 more. I'm getting all of this. It is a great value
Yeah.
when you jump up from the physical copy. Um, so having a tier like that, where it's definitely a step up in terms of pricing from just a standard physical copy, but it's priced pretty decently compared to it, and you have all this extra stuff, um, to where it leads a lot of people to be like, oh, I'll just step up and get this. Um, so that's that one.
All right. And your
The
top.
My top big tier. I'm trying to think of ones that have been successful, because I've done different top tiers to see
Mm-hmm.
how they've worked.
To varying
Don't
degrees of success.
Yeah, don't do metal covers. Metal cover. I did it for Gallows Man #1,
Mm-hmm.
and it did well. I had 4 or 5 people back that one, and I remember, because it wasn't just the metal cover, but it was a bunch of stuff, and it was like a $65 or $70 tier. It did well, and the people that got their books loved them. Like they love the way they look. Me personally, I hate the way that metal covers are made. I think it's very cheap. It's not how I thought it would be made.
Uh-huh.
So don't do metal covers. Um, hmm, what is my top tiers? I feel like there's more. I just
Yeah.
can't think of them right now. But definitely do a retailer bundle. I wouldn't say that's top tier, but that's something that should be considered, where it's 5 books or even 10 books.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, like I've done it before, where it's just it's 5, like 3 main covers, 2 variant covers, and then you have a good price, to where, like, basically the retailer, you're not making a lot off of the retailer bundle, but it's getting it in their shops, and you're not losing money on that either. They're at least paying the unit cost, what you paid per each of those books,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a dollar or two more or whatever. Um, and shipping is also included, so you're not like losing money there either. Um, but that, or a 10 book retailer bundle, um, like that does,
I'd
those have
never
done
thought of
pretty
that
good.
before.
Yeah, retailer bundles are really good, because I mean, I'm not trying to point. I'm not saying a name here, but I had a retailer bundle for Tales from Town City, um, this past September, October, and it's a guy I know, and I've been on. I'm not gonna say more than that. It's a guy I know, and he wound up getting, like, trying to think. It was 2 retailer bundles of Tales from Town City. So it's like 10 and 10. So it's 20 copies of Tales from Town City. And then I'm trying to think, I want to say 20 copies of Gallows Man 1 and 2, maybe. So he wound up getting at least 40 comics. I can't remember how much exactly. I think he may have got a little bit more than that. But off of that pledge, also, like, we were DMing back and forth, because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a tier that said, like, hey, 40 comics. Like the
Yeah.
highest retailer bundle was like a 10 comic Tales from Town City thing.
Yeah.
But we were DMing back and forth, and like I basically told him, like, here's how much, because he was talking about like getting 2 bundles of Tales from Town City, some Gallows Man bundle stuff, if I could include that. And I was like, okay, yeah, here's like the pricing for each of those, and basically worked it out, and wound up getting, like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly, like a $250 pledge, or maybe a little bit more. Because I just worked it out with him. I was like, if you do the Tales from Town City bundle and then just pledge extra, I'll make a note, because you can do that on Kickstarter. I'll make a note for me personally, to include all this extra stuff, all these extra comics. Um, and so, yeah, like, it was great because it wound up not just going to his shop, but he had a buddy who owned another shop in that town, and they basically split the merchandise, like the comics.
All
Um,
right.
so
Um, well, I'm gonna get touch on the retail bundle a little bit, but uh, and then after that, I'm gonna go to my first set of tiers that I have uh, figured out for this upcoming Kickstarter. And I wanted to say that with a retail bundle, I have my comics just set up in my local comic shop for free, and I think I'm gonna give some to Robbie to put up at the Deep, but they
yeah,
don't sell. Like, I have to be the person to sell them, or they don't go anywhere. Um, and I do like having it up in the shop. I just keep 2 copies up there. I've had some of the half version of the comics early on sell, and I had, the stickers sell a few times. I cannot get my prints to sell anywhere. As far as prints go, they don't sell anywhere, but I still have them up there at the, shop. Um, and then, uh, for the comic itself, it I think one of the shop readers opened it up and read it, and I haven't got to talk to her since then, but, they just stay up there. The comic book owners, they're like, "Hey, we this is a local artist. He has got our stuff up here. We like trying to promote him and everything." But they don't sell unless I'm the one selling them. If I don't have my booth up, if I don't have my face around it, and I don't get to tell people about it, they don't. Nobody's like, I guess they don't wanna risk it, although I feel like it's a little low risk,
yeah, yeah.
putting in $8
Well,
for it,
I'll,
but
I'll even say, like, because I before I even started Kickstarter, this was like late 2020. I had printed. This was my first print with Comics Wellspring. There was a little bit of an issue, but it resolved itself eventually.
and we'll be going
I
over
got like
that later.
yeah,
Again,
I got
just a
like
little bit briefly.
25 copies of, like, I want to say it was Dismay Avenue #1. Um, this was, and like, it was like 2-3 years before the Dismay Avenue 1 and 2 Kickstarter happened, and people got their books. Like, the book was done years prior,
Mhm.
but yeah, I got like 25 copies. I lived in Montgomery, Alabama at the time, and I put it in the 2 shops that I knew about there, and it's one of those things where, like, everyone, if you're making a comic, put it in a shop for the very least your own satisfaction, because it's a
Right.
surreal moment when you see your comic on the shelf in a comic book store, or just sitting somewhere in a comic book store. It was amazing. Out of the time that my stuff was there, one of the shops, I do like the shop. It's a little bit cluttered. That's half of comic shops. But he set it in a good place. He set it on the counter. Like, I made a little display and set it on the counter and stuff. The issue is Funko Pops. Put these stupid Funko Pops on the counter, and eventually it was almost like blocking the comics, even though the comics were right next to the register where you would be checking out. The stupid Funko Pops are in the way, so no one ever really saw it.
And a Mountain
And
Dew and a bag of chips.
yeah, exactly. And then the other shop I actually liked a lot. They had an indie
Mhm.
wall. They had an indie comic wall. Like, basically people that would bring their comic in, and they had a whole, I mean, it was like all the other walls. It was the same display as the Marvel DC wall. It's just indie comic wall, indie comic shelf. And that was really cool to see my comic there. As well as, like, that Dismay Avenue #1 comic. I'm not bashing anyone's comic that was there, but that cover where it's white and red, I took a picture far away from it for social media, just like, oh, this is amazing. but I also send that picture to my friend, and I was like, "What are the first 3 comics you see?" There's maybe 50 to 100 comics
Mm-hmm.
that you see on the entire thing, and he circled them. Of those 3, the first one he saw was mine. He didn't even know what my comic looked like. He
Right.
didn't even know I really made comics.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like it catches your eye because you have all these other colors that kind of blend together, and it's like, holy crap, white and red pops out. I'm not trying to brag. It was just one of those things I was proud of when I took that
Yeah.
picture. I was like, yes, I got a cover artist that just makes a cover pop. Um, so it's really awesome to see your comic on a shelf. At that shop, I kept the comics there for 2 to 5 months, maybe. And in that time, I sold, I think, 2 comics,
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3 comics. So it's one of those things where if you're putting it in a local shop, do it. I say do it for your own self satisfaction, just to be like, this is a surreal moment. Um, but it possibly won't sell like crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas these retail bundles, I have no idea how they do at the shops. Um, but I'm seeing a comic store actually buying my stuff
Mm-hmm.
to put in their shop. So at the very least, that shows that these comic shops have faith in my thing.
Right.
Whether it sells, we'll see. But I will say I've had uh, the retail bundle. I'll first say this: I never have more than like 5 backers on the retailer
Yeah.
bundle, but that's still like 4 or 5
Yeah.
comic
It
shops
gets
that
you
are
there
backing it. Yeah, yeah.
on the.
And there's at least 2 of them that back each of my projects.
Mm-hmm.
That's either they just want to support me, or I mean they are running a business. It probably is selling at their shop.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, it's. I think that there's just uh, this notion that's already set for when you're going to your comic book shop. You are wanting to see Deadpool and Wolverine, and you don't have like the the thought that you're going to spend your money on something else. It's just like I'm here for a thing that I like and I enjoy and it's popular and I'm going to talk about it with other
yeah,
people, and it's like it's
I
just kind
just
of hard to get out
remembered
there.
I just remembered something. If you haven't done it, possibly do this. It is enticing for people that are walking into a shop. If you haven't done it, sign all of those issues if you're okay with doing that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I do with my retailer bundles. Like it's all these copies and all of them are signed.
Hmm.
Um, it takes us nothing. We're not big names, but to a customer, it adds a little value and catches the eye where it's like, oh,
Hmm.
like, sure, it's not action comic. Sure, it's not Batman, but like, oh, it's this comic and it's indie comic and it's signed. Ooh.
Hmm.
So
Okay. I'll take that into consideration and give it a shot. So, really quickly, my Kickstarter tiers, middle or top, uh, low, top, medium, top would be the PDF. I'm doing both digital PDFs, number 1 and 2, at a $10 value, which they are going to be like $6 alone. As so, it's like you want to give it just a little bit of a discount as a
yeah,
bundle,
yeah,
and for that backing, and it's not like a PDF already has a preordained price on it to be like, oh, it's only going to be worth $2 or it's worth $10. You can make it
right,
whatever
right.
price you want. Um, and for the time and uh, work that I put into those, um, I I just like $6 sounds fine to me. So that's my low tiers, $10 with 2 PDFs, and then the middle tier is going to be the 2 PDFs that those just continue. Those just go up the ladder,
Hmm.
because you're wanting to add value as you go up, and then it's I think the standard cover and the standard of the first issue. So number physical 1 and 2, digital 1 and 2. Uh, and then the top tier, that I get the special benefit of being the artist in this endeavor, is getting to put my original work up for the a set price. The price of the work itself is probably about 400 currently, and then on top of that, you get the variant cover, you get the issue number 1, you get the digital issue number 1 and 2, and then the original art is the ink of the standard cover, done by me. So I just put that at a 450. I might even it out to 500, but it's going to be 450. What I'm going to do first is reach out to the person that bought the first ink cover at the Anime Fest, because he used card and he sent a message on through the little, I don't know how, he sent some square thing, is like sent a message like, oh, I love this, thank you so much, American Demon Comics. And so I think I will be able to reach out to him and I'll give him first dibs to it.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
And then after that, it may or may not go up as the top, but that would be my top in the Kickstarter. If he did get it, that money, if it doesn't even get a chance to be on the Kickstarter, then that money goes towards the Kickstarter anyways. I'll just kind of subtract that off of, or
your goal,
or throw it in or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then that's my low, medium, top for the tiers. What I want to get into real quick is Comics Wellspring. So with the fiasco that happened last time, where the print did not come in, and it didn't come in for 2 events, it was a week late for Free Comic Book Day. Good news is 11 people pre-ordered on Free Comic Book Day, and I sent those 11 copies out this week. Was it this week? I can't remember. It was like last Monday or something. I can't remember, but I sent them out to everybody that ordered. And with Comics Wellspring doing that, the print quality is still good, but the image is still very, very dark. It's so dark. It's just, there's so many textures and so many tones that are just blotted out.
Missing. Yeah.
And I left a 2-star review. I was like, look, because they reach out after every order.
Yeah.
And this is the only way you can leave a review. You can't go to their website and just say anything. You have to have ordered
it's
from
after
them.
they order. Yeah.
So I was like, hey, this was late. I understand that there was I can understand if you get a proof and it takes a month or 2 to get out to you. That's fine. I can understand if you have a 2-week turnaround and it takes 3 weeks. I can understand. But it took over a month, like well over a month, almost 2 months for it to get delivered to me.
Well, from the time you ordered, you said
right,
middle of March, and you got it after Free Comic Book Day, which is almost 2 months later.
So I left
and
that.
You didn't order. Sorry, I have to add to how crappy this is. I use them, but I can speak on how crappy they are. You didn't order a physical proof either, so it shouldn't have taken as long.
This was a copy they've done before. I didn't need a proof. I needed the comics. I needed them in. So add that on to I tacked that onto the review as well. I was like, I have ordered these before, and I didn't need a proof this time. So I was like, the print quality is decent, but it's really dark for some reason. Like it's just so dark. If you could, like, I don't mind it being a little darker, like a tinge. I like that it kind of, because that kind of like a lot of my pages are just a little too gray, and if they darken it a little bit, it gives it a little bit of contrast, a little bit more. But it's so many areas are too dark and too just, it makes the whole scene just look like a black square, in some of the panels. So I left that review. I took the full advantage. I was like, I got to leave this review. And so I'm going to give them one more chance because they do have new machinery. Allegedly, they have, since they moved, they've got a new machine, and they're touting left and right that this will increase their workload turnaround. Like they'll be able to get these comics out faster to everybody. So, but they left an Instagram like slideshow of like little infographics about their
I think I saw what you're talking about. Yeah.
and I felt, I don't I I don't know if other people leave bad reviews, but I felt very targeted by this. God, they post
I
so
got a
many
feeling you're
things.
not the only one. I got a feeling
Yeah,
these were building up at least over the past year, um, or at least the past few months, to
they
warrant
might have
them.
they might have took it off. I don't see it at the forefront of their posts on Instagram.
Is it the one where it's looking for an update on your order? Make sure you're reaching out to blah blah blah. Then it says, remember, we're no longer with Greco Printing.
Oh yeah, that's it.
So it's their first one. They pinned it on Instagram.
Yeah, that's it. And it says, if you call our office and remember our hours are, wait until it finishes ringing to get a voicemail. We want you to have your amazing work in your hands. We know that orders are not getting out at an ideal time. We're working around the clock as we train new people and get our new machines up and running at full force. And I can't help but be like, no, you're putting all your time into all the marketing and interviews and heroic awards thing. The Spilled Ink, hosted by Brandon Bloxford,
Yeah, which
Thursday,
I like
powered by
Brandon.
Comics
Brandon's
Wellspring.
awesome.
It,
It's
the
just
people could be great, but the
it's
Comics
just
Wellspring.
the focus. Your focus needs to be on quality control in your printing. You can have all this other stuff, and with all this other stuff, you are attracting more people to come print
Mhm.
with you. The issue is, if you don't have quality control with your printing, everyone, that the influx that is happening of all these people coming to you, they're going to be turned off by your thing because,
Right.
oh, they're here, but then they're dealing with all these issues, and it's like, oh, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go back to Mixum, or I'm gonna go back to
Mhm.
Kablam, or whatever.
And I can't wait to see what these Kablam. I ordered 10 copies from Kablam. I can't wait to see what they look like, uh, because if they give me a really good print, maybe I'll give them like maybe one or two things being messed up with it.
Yeah.
Something being a little off. But if that comes within the next week, um, let's see, when did I order those? It might have been the Monday after Free Comic Book Day.
What was
So
the target turnaround, estimated turnaround? They said.
they don't. They didn't like really spell one out. I'll have to go kind of. They don't. They're not as fluid and set up as Comics Wellspring
I gotcha.
is, and so um, if they can get it to me before the end of the month, though, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, because one, it's shorter, and two, they're not promising a turnaround that is just a flat out lie.
Yeah. So we'll see how those do, and if they do well, then I'll have a backup at all times. And then uh, see, with Comics Wellspring, I was hoping that they would kind of like see the error in this problem, and when they shipped it out, they would have done like overnight shipping or something and just paid for it.
Right, right.
Like
They've,
the
I
least you
mean,
could do.
I'll say, and again, I'm not defending them, but I think they've done that for me before. I don't know if it was
Mm-hmm.
overnight, but it was like, it wasn't priority, but it was like
Yeah,
super priority or whatever, to where like 2 or 3 days after I sent that email and they said, okay, we're getting it out to you first thing.
yeah.
2 or 3 days later, I had the package. So they didn't do the standard shipping there, but I don't know.
Well, that was my expectation. Is either they honored my request from like 3 weeks prior
Yeah, yeah.
to make it up to 50 instead of 25, or they pay for like expedite shipping and they get it to me for free comic book day, and they did neither of those things.
Mm.
So a little sour about that. Anyways, I just wanted to kind of update on that. um So, Brandon, I'm going to have a quick break and run to the restroom, and then
Yeah, yeah.
we will continue.
So,
All right, we're back from our restroom break, and Brandon wanted to bring something up about Mixum.
yeah. So with Free Comic Book Day, which is wild that it was not even 2 weeks ago. It's like a week and a half ago. It feels so much longer. It feels like a
Really?
month or two
Yeah.
ago, for me at least. But it went very well. It did. It was a great time. It was fantastic. I doubt. I figured it wouldn't be this. Last year, sales wise, was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the most I've ever made at any show or anything like that. This year, it was half that, but still like more than most shows I do. So it was
Yeah.
still a great time, and it cost me nothing to be there other than gas money, which wasn't much because it's
Right.
30-40 minutes away. Um, but this is the first time where I did Free Comic Book Day, and there were other creators there. There were two other ones. Um, there was, I got his book right here. I don't want to
Oh.
be a bad person and mess up and not say his name. Um, where's his credit? Okay. Thomas Zoller, or Tom Zoller. He's, his biggest thing that he did is he wrote and did the art for My Little Pony for like 10 plus years at IDW. He was there and he had a couple of his books and stuff. And
Dang.
then there was another guy. I've seen Thomas Zoller before at Pensacon Halloween Fest. So I've seen him before, but this guy, he lives in Pensacola. And I this is my first time hearing about him. I think he just finished his book. Joey, can't see it because my camera, but Joey Livingston. His book is Sliver of Light, and he was just one. It's his, it's whatever he wants to do. I thought it was a little bit crazy. He was just giving these away, like
Oh,
literal
really?
free comic book
Yeah.
day. It's a full issue. Like
Yeah.
there's, it's not. I was like, okay, you do you. But it's a great looking book. He's been working on this for, I think he said 10 to 12 years. Um, but I mention all that to say he went through Mixum for this,
Mm-hmm.
and it looks really good. Like it's a good looking book, and we were talking about like cost and prices and stuff, and I was talking about Comics Wellspring, and he hasn't used Comics Wellspring before, but he said through Mixum, like he printed these through Mixum, he was able to unit cost these be, and this is 27-28 pages. That's what I was doing before we started. I was trying to count the pages.
Yeah.
27-28 interior pages. And it cost him $1 a unit, maybe a little more than $1 a unit. He ordered like 1,000 of these, but still like 1,000, and you're paying $1, maybe even $1.50 a unit.
Yeah.
that's not bad.
No.
For the cost that I've done with Comics Wellspring, where I'm ordering 251 copies, um, and the unit cost is still over $3 an issue.
Right.
Um, I don't know. Like this is a pretty
Well,
good looking
what's the
comic.
what's the 1,000 mark on Comics Wellspring? Like, if you put in your 1,000 quantity,
So
what's that on there?
so with Comics Wellspring, the discounts in terms of units, like the amount of units you have, that doesn't come till you hit 251.
Right.
You hit 251, I think it's 5% off all of it, and that's 251 to 750. Once you get to 751 to 1,000 or 1,250 or something, it's 10% off. And then over 1,000, it's like 15% off or whatever. It does go up, but not a lot. Not where like Mixum,
Yeah.
starting off, if you were ordering 100, I'm sure it's probably like $5 a unit or something.
Yeah.
But the more and more you order, like 1,000, like they're not just doing 15% off, 5% off per unit. Like you're winding up paying no more than $1.50 a unit
Mm-hmm.
for like a 28-page comic. Um, so I might look into that. I might check that out because the book does look good. Like it's a good looking book. Like I've had issues with Comics Wellspring before where, and it's only through Comics Wellspring that I've had this issue, where the word balloons and stuff, depending on the paper type you get, Comics Wellspring never get 80 gloss text paper type, because the word balloons on one page, like let's say that word balloon, for
Mm-hmm.
example, an indention will show up on the other page. Like
Mm-hmm.
it would show up a little bit. Like if you held it to the light, you'd be able to see it, and it's an indent.
Yeah.
It's one thing to like hold it to the light and see it on the other side. That's normal
Right.
for white pages. But it's like a little bit of an
It's like a
indention, and
raise.
it bugged me so much with Comics Wellspring to where I
Mm-hmm.
told them, okay, just do 60 no gloss interiors because it looks unprofessional. It doesn't look good. And I've seen 80 gloss text with other companies, and it doesn't look like that. So it's just whatever their printer setup is with Comics Wellspring. But no, like this looks good. It doesn't have any of those type of issues. Um, and yes, 1,000 copies is a lot for me. That not cost wise, but like
To
that's
store and to have.
that's a few long boxes right there,
Yeah.
just for one copy of a comic. But I mean, I wouldn't be paying much more than I'm already paying uh, for
You just have to make sure
251
that you get
copies.
that 1,000 back and then some.
Oh yeah.
You know. I imagine. I don't know. That sounds kind of like difficult because, like, grand total, I've ordered 40 and then 25. Um, so 65 comics, and about anywhere from 5 to 10 of those went to like some friends for free, and then some of those people paid like $50 for it because they're like, oh my gosh, you made this, I'm gonna give you $20 for this,
Yeah.
like. So and then that original 40 sold out, and then now I've sent out in another 11 of the copy, and then I have 2 more up at the comic book shop. So now I still only have about 10 copies left, and I'm gonna have another 10 delivered from Kablam. And so it's taken a while. I mean, I did sell a good 10 to 15 copies of the very first best value print run of the comic. And it's just taking a while to sell all those, and I'm like, if I
Mhm.
had 1,000 copies, it would take me years. Like I would be
Yeah,
done
yeah.
with the comic and then some, unless I have some kind of exponential growth. Which you would expect some growth, but I still don't know if I could get that turnaround of of
For
500
me,
comics. Because if you sell 500
yeah,
of them, that would cover cover the cost of buying them,
yeah, yeah.
and then some.
Yeah, for me, I feel like yes, like I'm definitely not going to sell 1,000 copies in a year, not even 2 years.
Hmm.
Um, how I usually order, which part of why I want to get more copies. The biggest thing is that cost, like per unit, it being so much cheaper.
Yeah.
And I'll get into how I can sell more because of that. But yeah, like Gallows Man 1 and 2, I've had to reprint already. Um, because I remember I think I ordered like 100 copies of Gallows Man 1, 100 copies of Gallows Man 2. With Gallows Man 1, I think I've had to order twice.
Hmm.
And then again had to do a reprint. Um, so I've already had to reorder these because they've sold out so quickly. Dismay Avenue number 2 is almost there. Like I
Hmm.
had with just that issue, I think I ordered 140 copies, and now I'm down to I don't know, maybe 20 copies left, 30 copies
Hmm.
left. Um,
Are you
so
able
the
to
stuff.
get two different issues to still count as like 1,000?
Mhm. At least with Comics Wellspring, I think
Right.
that I've seen other printers do it as well. So I feel like Mixam will also do that because the only difference is the front and back cover.
Hmm.
Everything in the interior is exactly the same. Comics Wellspring and I can't remember if it was Kablam or there's another printer
Hmm.
that does that to where even if you do a variant cover, it still counts toward your overall
Yeah, but that's a
number sort of
variant
thing.
cover. They got to print those. They got to print the covers separately from the interior.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like you're still getting like a lot of interiors, even if the variants are different. And that's the point of the printer, is to have that like continuous just
Yeah, yeah,
cranking them out, and that's what makes it cheaper.
yeah.
So do you does it cover like fully fledged different issues?
Oh, like if I was doing Dismay Avenue 1 and Dismay Avenue 2,
Right.
no. I think
Okay.
it's strictly just one issue. That makes sense to me. Um, at least if I don't know much about comic printing other than the past few years dealing with comic printers, but in terms of like making money as a business, like yeah, it makes sense for them to separate by issue.
Hmm.
But no, with variant covers, it's still included in that grand
Yeah.
unit total. Um, but I might check that out because uh, so let's say I order 1,000 copies of my comic. The plus side with that is, and I've wanted to do this. It's just there's not a crazy ton of incentive for a retailer. Um, I've wanted to reach out to all these comic shops and just be like, hey, like I've got this book. I'll send you a PDF, or if you just want one copy to check it out or whatever, and you can decide if you'd like to carry this in your store. Um, if I'm doing 1,000 copies and each unit's cost me dollar 50, I can decrease that price of what I would be selling to a retailer, and it'd be much more enticing
Significantly.
for them. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll still sign all of
And
them
yeah.
as well because
And you'll
that
still
adds
make
value as a
good money
buyer.
off of them.
Yeah, yeah, to where like selling to the retailer, this includes me shipping it to them and stuff. I
Hmm.
could sell it to them for 3,
4. Yeah.
maybe
3,
four
4.
bucks a unit. Um, and then they can charge whatever they
8,
want.
10. Yeah.
Yeah, as well as it has a signature on it, so that they can charge $8 or whatever they want, and people will buy that
Mm-hmm.
because it's signed. So getting those unit costs down would make it a whole lot easier for me to sell to comic shops. Um, and to where, like, I'm not going to get rid of all 1,000 copies, but like in a year or in 2 years, I could see 300 to 500 copies gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess that would be, the goal with your price setting in the Kickstarter. I would go for 1,000 if they're
Yeah.
like $1. you know.
Because yeah, it's not much more that I'm paying for 251 copies through Comics Wellspring. It's
Hmm.
just I gotta find more storage, which I
Yeah.
can do that. I can do that.
Well, here's
But
the
cost
thing.
wise, it's not much more.
Here's another thing. So this last free comic book day, I was torn between setting up at the Deep and setting up at the Green Bros. And uh, my girlfriend was like, "Well, why don't you just have me set up at one of them and you set up at another one?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't know what the demand will be for these comics, and I've only got, at the time I still had like 10 copies, and I was like, and if the order comes in, that will only make it 35, and I have no idea what the turnout and demand for these will be. But if I had 1,000 copies, I'd be like." 100 over there and 100 over here,
Yeah, yeah,
and problem solved. Um, the other hurdle about having two different setups is advertising and then the payment method. So like I have my Square payment method
yeah,
set up in my phone and my phone only. So people paying with card only can go through my phone. And I'm sure there's a way to set it up, but we didn't have the logistics figured out for having a second point of sale set up. But
yeah,
those two things was the merchandise split and the point of sale split. But otherwise, I would have done it. I would have set up at
yeah,
two places.
yeah. Because based on like my free comic book day, how I've done before, ideally, I'd love to, and even like, yes, I have family and friends that will help me out and do it for free if they want. But like based on the sales I've gotten before, hey, I'll give you 40, $50 for doing this day,
Mm-hmm.
and just have me and then four other people in different shops. Like that'd be the ideal thing.
Yeah.
Because even though I'm paying that person 40, $50, I know I'm not losing money at
Mm-hmm.
that shop.
Well, so I wanted to go into the free comic book day. Went pretty good, like you said. It was probably half of my expectations. Um, your testimony had my
I'm sorry.
head kind of
Well,
inflated. I was like, "Oh,
last year was
we
like
might be."
a fluke thing.
Yeah.
It was crazy how sales went last year to where, and not just sales, like interactions. Because
Hmm.
literally last year it was like pretty much every 5 to 6 minutes I'm making a sell.
Hmm.
This year was not that. It was still really good for me this year,
Yeah.
but there were definitely some dead periods this year.
Yeah. It was really good. It was really good. And I think that I've had where I've visited the comic book shop in the past on Free Comic Book Day, and that traffic was just crazy. And there were people out at the front, and there was pizza and stuff like that. And then this year, it was like people would trickle in and they trickled out. Now, I did have a lot of attention. I did get into Diona cosplay and had the whole booth set up. I had a whole canopy, which was awesome because I was like, "Oh, I need this canopy in case it rains." But little did I know it was a second canopy for shade because I would have been
Oh
cooking
yeah.
if I did not have that shade.
Did
Because
you
I
bring
was
the
already kind
canopy
of
or did
sweating.
they have it?
No, I brought one.
Okay.
Because they said that their awning had got torn down from the storm
Yeah, yeah.
like a few years ago or something. So I brought it just in case, and I'm so happy I did. But I had a lot of attention. A lot of people came in before they went in. A lot of people came to me after they had went in. And I, one of the best things, dude, is having this email sign up, and just being able to shoot it. Because with Substack, you can go to your stats for overall email interaction. You can look at your subscribers, and then next to their email is like a little activity slot. So it shows like the activity of them engaging with your email, and it has
Oh,
it
that's
based
cool.
on stars. So there's a 0 to 5 star rating of the activity that people do. So I have like 10 people, and some of like one of them's me, one of them's a coworker, and one of them's my girlfriend, and then like there's like 4 or 5 others, six, that I don't know who they are, but they're
Yeah, yeah.
engaging with my emails that I'm sending out. So like that's like awesome to me. It's like somebody that's like, ooh, an email, and they're actively opening it and reading it. So the email list has been fascinating to me because it's just an awesome tool right now in this period of social media. And what I did is I went to Adobe has a QR code generator, and I set up a link on a QR code that just goes straight to the email sign up. So what I'm going to do is not only have a physical sign up, but have that QR code, and people will just be able to go to their phone and search it, and then go to their to just type in their email on it, and then I don't have any work to do after that. They're just already signed up. Um, so Substack has been awesome. Really happy with that decision still.
Yeah. I'm gonna have
And
to set one up before it doesn't entirely have to be before my next Kickstarter, but I want to set one up just based on all that you've talked about with it. Uh, that way, because pretty much how it is now is like a Kickstarter happens and you have all those people's email through Kickstarter. But with Kickstarter, um, that information is only saved for like a year, maybe a year and a half for
mhm.
that specific Kickstarter that you had.
You can't
And
export them.
then you can. That
Okay.
what I'm saying is like you need to export them before that year or year and a half
Yeah.
happens. You can. I haven't done it. I'm probably going to have to do it for one or two of them. You can request Kickstarter to give you access to that again. So that is a request that can happen that I'm probably going to have to do. But yeah, basically what I've been doing now is just like getting all those emails and putting them over here in the spreadsheet sort of thing.
So one thing I just remembered with the free comic book day, I have nailed down my pitch about the
Nice.
comic, and I had it so nailed down that I repeated it to everyone, and um, that tired me out because it's like
Oh yeah.
before I used to just be kind of like, oh, it's like Gargoyles meets Attack on Titan. Uh, it's the demons, and there might be an angel involved. But now that I've kind of like actually actively created issue number 2 as the origin story, and I like know what her origin story is and
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be, um, I've just been able to spill it like a lot easier. Uh, and what what I'm kind of afraid of is telling people, giving them the pitch, and then they buy issue 1, and issue 1 has nothing to do with the pitch because it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
Not really. So I'm excited to get issue 2 out and be like, number 1 and 2 are the origin. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah,
But yeah, I
like
had to repeat that like
it'll
crazy.
be interesting when whatever the next show you do and there's other like booth mates nearby and stuff. uh I've had this happen once or twice at conventions before. Like we got along with the booth mates very well, talked
Hmm.
with them and stuff, and throughout the day or the weekend I'm doing my pitch and stuff, and I remember one like turning to me as like, I think I know, I've memorized your entire pitch because I've heard it. And she pretty much like recited it. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry.
Well, we've reached the 1 hour mark. Um, so what do you say we go about anywhere from 15 to 30 more minutes?
Yeah,
Because
sounds
there's
good.
some things I want to touch on. There is a topic I want to talk about in the future. Wow, how silly of me! I have closed the Google Docs with the notes on it. But it's about like I was cryptids and like why they are so popular all of a sudden, or are they really popular? Is it our site? Is it a zeitgeist? Is it our bubble? That kind of thing. But I want to go over that later. We're just going to continue with like free comic book day review and you know that kind of thing. So I got some booty from Free Comic Book Day after
Nice.
my uh, 6 hour shift. Which by the way, it did go really well. It's not like I didn't do great. Um, I just didn't do as good
I
as
hyped
I
it up too
anticipated.
much. That's my
No,
bad.
like it was based off like the crowd that normally goes. Like I kind of
Yeah.
I could see how that traffic would be like, ooh, we're here for comics. Ooh, we've never been to like Robbie is always like, so if um the church, so the church Easter is to the church like free comic book day is to a comic book shop. You have
Yeah, yeah.
people that have never
All
been
the
there
people coming
and they
in. Yeah,
come
yeah.
in
Yeah.
and maybe it's their annual visit. So you get a crowd of people that are into they might be there for Wolverine and Deadpool, but it's not like a normal Saturday. They're there to spend money and check things out. So,
And
you already have kind of an interest there.
you're also actually seeing what is nice to see in a comic shop, an influx of kids, because it's
Yeah.
promising. Because like a big thing is like, I think kids would love to check it out. At least the kids that are coming into free comic book day, like they'd like to be in a comic book shop more. It's just like mom and dad can only really take them 4 or 5 times a year maybe. um so it's, at least to me, it's promising to see
Hmm.
that, because on your regular comic book shop day, it's mostly the typical comic shop guys,
Yeah.
or the guys that are playing Magic the Gathering, or
Right.
Warhammer or whatever. Um, so it gives me a little hope that it's not dying out, that it will
Yeah.
be passed down. But
Well, I I have no hope for for floppy comics. I'm gonna be real.
no, no, for floppies, no.
um, but the comic book shop is I think it's still going to be a new place to new people, and there's an effort to be like more accepting and less gatekeepy in all kinds
Yeah,
of
yeah.
things, and especially the comic book world. There's an effort to like go against that, and that helps. Um, that helps boost it a little bit more, but I don't have anything kid friendly, which is, a kid. If a kid approaches my booth, I don't say anything unless they start flipping through it. If they start
Yeah.
like looking at what's in the comic, I go, "Oh, hey, parent, this might not be for them. If you don't want them to go through this, And then they're like,
Yeah, yeah.
he watches horror movies all the time. It's fine,
That's what's
you know."
interesting is like mine my comics don't have any nudity or sexual themes or anything like that, which is great for the parents, even
Hmm.
though some of them can be like pretty violent, like the Gallows Man.
Right.
There's nothing parental guidance that strikes you, not even smoking, drinking, anything,
Yeah.
just very over the top violence. But 3 out of 4 parents are like, oh yeah, that's fine as long as there's not
Hmm.
nudity.
Yeah. I'm like, there's some strong cursing, like some, it's like strong like words. It's not like frequent.
He's heard worse.
Yeah. And then I'll be like, and there's some gore that might not be. That's like,
Yeah.
we watched Chainsaw Massacre the other day. And I'm like, I don't know if that should be concerning or I should be happy about that, but okay.
Yeah.
But it was a good day. And again, I just wanted to say, in the brief time, like you get there at the comic book shop normally doesn't open till 10, but it opened at 9. But I think a lot of people still thought that it didn't open till 10. And then you had a lot of
Yeah. Yeah.
people that just didn't want to show up until 12. But from 9 to 3 o'clock, I made a good chunk of money for,
Nice.
my time being there. So that's always a great thing. And then I got several more emails, and I got to experience a pre-order. So I, like I said on the previous podcast, I was like, I can kind of foretell I'm not getting these comics in time. So I made a pre-order sheet where I would have a name and their address, a line for their address. And so uh I was able to get 11 pre-orders. 11 people trusted me with their address. Which is, it's like, I guess that makes sense, but at the same time it's like, okay, recite your address to me while I write it down. It's like
Yeah.
but anyways, after that 6 hours, I was like, time to do some shopping. So I went in and I got some presents for some people. I got some copies of the regular show comic, which is just funny. It's like the regular show comic.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just weird to have. Um, and then I grew up reading the first issue of this, and I had wanted the whole set ever since then. And it's just something that keeps popping up whenever I see that first issue. I still have it somewhere. But the Bone
Yes.
collection.
Yes. Bone is
So
so good.
I was like, I told Robbie, I was like, man, I really want Bone actually. And he's like, oh, it's right here. And he's like, we got all these trade paperbacks, but we also got like the full compendium like
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's sick. And he's like, it's also in the original black and white. There's no color in it. I
Oh,
was like,
that's cool.
even better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's which it helps me with inking, in contrast to just ingest some of these
Yeah. Yeah.
scenes, uh and to kind of like you know differentiate things. So like on this new camera that I have, it'll actually show they're in a
Yeah.
forest,
Yeah.
and you can see that this is just black with like some marked out white to make it look like a plant, and there's some leaves even further on under the tree. It looks like a bush just kind of glistening of rain. It's like that's just a genius way to compose all this and also make it pretty fast, like you know because he made this many pages worth of art.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got to be kind of quick to do that.
That's the
um
thing is like I collect original comic art, and I really like Jeff Smith's work, especially in Bone. I know I'll probably never be able to own a Bone page. That's heritage auction type stuff. That's
yeah.
out of my price range. But I'd love to own like some sort of piece of art, some original art from Jeff Smith, because I just really like his style. And yeah, with Bone, I remember it's maybe right after I graduated high school or tail end of high school, going to the library, because at that time that's when I realized like, oh, the library has a graphic novel section. I can just read for free. I don't have to pay
Yeah.
$20 for this tiny little Marvel trade paperback. And so like they had all of Bone, and I just like tore through that so easily. But yeah, Bone's great.
Yeah, Bone. I was first introduced to Bone when I was like in 6th grade. They had the Scholastics book fair, and I bought the first issue of Bone. That was one of the only books that I actually bought from the book fair. It was always these
Yeah,
stupid
most of the
like
time it's the little
erasers.
knickknacks and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. The little knickknacks,
Um,
or it's like Ripley's Believe It or Not
right.
2007 or Guinness World Record. Like it's usually those type of books.
I'm not I'm not doing any reading at the book fair. But I did get Bone and I loved it. Like off rip. I was like, "Oh, this is good." Um and throughout the years I was like, "Man, I need to get that, the next Bone." But I was like, I'm a kid, so it's like I don't have money
Where
and
do I go? I don't have money. Yeah.
right. I was like, I'll just wait till the next book fair or something and forget about it. But I had that first copy, and that always would remind me. I would be like, I need to get the next Bone. I need to continue and finish that.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to have this full thing. And like they're starting to change the look of the trades, the paperbacks, like the book dressing. They're starting to change what it looks like. So I was like, well, I don't want to get these books that are going to look different. Like, 2 and 3 aren't going to look the same as 4 and 5 over here. So,
Yeah.
and I also, again, just the black and white, really sells me.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Another boon that I got is Hellboy by Mike Mignon.
Nice.
For it's number 2. Robbie says they have number 1 in now, so I'll have to go get that. But again, it's just this play of black and white and simplicity. Because as an only artist, or as the artist and the writer, I need to learn some tricks to get the message across.
Yeah.
Because recently, as we discussed before, the page timing is different depending on what I'm working on, but a lot of my recent pages have been 12 hours, maybe 11 minimum, but a lot of them are 12 hours at least, 10 hours at least to finish all the ink and all that process. And that's not counting that's not recording the time in real time, real
Yeah.
space where I did the thumbnail and the sketching and the penciling. And then it takes about 12 to 13 hours to finalize the page. And even then I still forget some things. But yeah, so those are learning any little kind of composition trick or any little effect that I can go a long way.
Nice.
Did you get anything on Free Comic Book Day?
I got some stuff. Here, let me grab.
Okay.
It's one of Tom Zoller's books. It's a trade, so I actually put it on my bookshelf. So comic, like regular floppy white, I already showed that. Sliver of Light. All of the stuff I'm going to show I have not read yet. I will eventually. I still have a stack of stuff from like, and this isn't even like, this was a show like a month ago. And then there's also other Kickstarter stuff. Like I have a pile of stuff, of indie stuff that I just have not read yet. I will. It's just busy. I've been very busy. But yeah, I got that. Then I got a bunch of I think our comic shop, you could get up to 8 free comics. And I got 6 or 7. I'm not going to show all of them because it's free comics. Everyone saw them. The one that I wish I did get, there was a Atlas Comics anthology. It was like a horror thing. It was completely gone by the time I was looking through, but Things I'm excited about. I want to read this Mad magazine where it's just
Nice.
a collection of like parody stuff that they've done with
Yeah,
superheroes. I like that.
that's some
It's
inspiration for Brandon Ingram right there.
yeah, like
Parody
that's literally
superheroes.
yeah. Um, uh, I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I am not invested to like go and read the comics as of now, maybe in the future. But I got this. This is going to sound bad. The reason I got this is speculation. Apparently, like a new character is being put in here.
Hmm.
If it's $10, $15 on eBay soon, I'll just sell it. But
Yeah.
I don't care. Uh, I got this. I'll check it out. Tio, my friend, is huge into Valiant comics, and like Valiant's finally coming back. Uh, they were doing good up until the pandemic. The pandemic killed Valiant, and that's
Hmm.
not an expression. Like it did. Like Valiant from 2021 to now was putting out one book a month, and like what they would do is like a mini series. They do like a 4 to 6 issue mini series, and it's only one book of that mini series. So once a Bloodshot miniseries was finished, it'd be one book a month, one book a month. Once that was finished, okay, now we'll do another miniseries, one book a month, one book a month, which is wild compared to 10 years ago, where they're putting out at least 5 books a month, if not more. Sometimes it's like 10 books a month. But someone had bought out Valiant, another company, Alien Books, and so they're trying to kind of bring it back. I'll see how it is. Uh, Conan, because I really like the art. I
Hmm.
think the art in Conan, no matter the artist, is almost always just really good.
Yeah.
I want to check out the whole Energon universe thing.
I've
So
heard
I got
Transformers is
this.
popping off.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like that first issue, which I love the cover and I love the art by Daniel Warren Johnson. I love his work in general. But yeah, like that first issue sold like 300,000 copies or something and got like 4 or 5 reprints. It's crazy. I got this one. I'm not a huge Flash Gordon fan, but I love this cover.
Hmm.
Like I saw this cover and I was like, I'll get it. You sold me on the cover. Like it looks really good. It looks like something Mitch Gerrards would do for like Tom King. Like I really like the cover. Um, I think that's about it. Oh, and I got like a couple of Tom Zeller or Zoller's books. This one I'm looking forward to checking out. Love and Capes, basically like a rom com
Yeah.
superhero type thing. So check it out.
All
That's pretty
right.
much it.
Nice. Yeah, I was like, oh, there's a 20% discount.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the plus side with free comic book day with a lot of the shops, which is smart because you're getting a lot more customers. But
Right.
yeah, having like I mean, different shops have different stuff, but some have like buy one graphic novel, get the other
Hmm.
half off, or buy two of this, get one free. They have like all these different sales and stuff. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I had spent about $100, and I could have spent another $100 with the discount. There was a lot of manga that I wanted to get. They had a black edition of Death Note, every single one of the issues. I'm pretty sure it
Oh
was
yeah, yeah.
all the chapters. And I really wanted to get that. I kind of scouted it. Me and my girlfriend went up there like the week before, and I tried to like make notes on what I was going to grab. Somebody had already bought it. I was
Uh,
like, but um, one of the ones that I really am looking forward to is the Steins Gate. And I know I don't know how familiar you are with anime. I don't think that you.
I know a little bit of that because of Tio. Tio's a
Okay.
big anime.
Steins Gate is one of the best stories I've ever ingested. Like it's up there with Attack on Titan. It's not like Attack on Titan, has a special place in my heart, but it's also really extensive, and I think there's a lot more to it that's really good. But Steins Gate is just a really really good story, sci-fi about this uh, uh, what you a conscious time travel. Like it's not
Mhm.
you time traveling; it's your consciousness, and it can time travel, and they play off it so good, and it's just this ragtag, ensemble of characters that are having to go through this humor, and that there's some stereotypes on them, and then they get drawn into some traumatic stuff, and then the humor comes back. It's just really it's really good. But one
Is
thing,
it your conscience like traveling into like another person, like in
into
the past or
you
future? Okay.
yourself
Okay, I
in the
got you.
past.
Okay.
um and But when I saw the manga, because I watched the anime a few years ago, and I've rewatched it, but the I saw the manga on the shelf, and I was like, oh, I would have checked that out. And then and I opened it up, and it's just really good manga. It's just really
Oh
good
yeah.
art going
Yeah,
on.
that's great art.
um and I just had to grab me the this is number three. I don't have number one and two or anything. I was just like, I already know the story pretty much. So let me just, I think this was the only one they had. I don't think they had any other chapters. So I was like, let me grab that, because the art in the manga itself is just so good. And
Yeah.
uh, it's just it's like anything that I know is a story worth buying, I'll get it. Like I want to get the Full Metal Alchemist omnibuses. Steins Gate would be a great one to have. Death Note would be a great one to have. Um, but yeah, those are my boon. I had forgotten that I got Steins Gate. It's up on the shelf. But that's all the booty I got from Free Comic Book Day.
Nice.
So I think that wraps everything up. Um, I think that if we do movies, we will go over doing that separately, because I think that would be fun. But
Yeah.
I also know that you already do movie content with Tio. So that's just something we'll think about. I also want to have Adam Caswell on,
Yeah. Yeah.
if he'll agree. I asked him about it, but he he didn't deny, like he didn't say no. Um, he just kind of asked some questions about it, and then never got back to me on it. So I gotta like confirm, but I would
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
to have him on, and we can talk about the contractual side of art, because I don't get, so far, hired to do anything. But he gets hired kind of frequently, and you're somebody that hires artists. So I thought that would be a cool thing to have.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds good. With cryptids, do you want to talk about cryptids or
No,
you want to
next
save that
that'll
till
be
next
next
time? Yeah.
time.
Sounds good.
All right, Brandon. You have anything to end on? I've got a kitten trying to crawl up
Um,
my leg.
I think that's pretty much it. Still writing some. Things are going good. Just check out all the social media stuff. Um, I don't post much because a lot of it is quiet right now. I'm doing a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of stuff, just can't show much right now. But
Right.
uh, I'll briefly say this. Last night was probably the longest amount of time I spent writing a one-page comic. Um, I spent at least 3 hours writing a Twilight Zone parody one-page comic, and I love it. Like I think it's really funny. I love the Twilight Zone, and I have a parody Rod Serling doing his little narration at the end of an episode, sort of thing, and I really like it. To where the whole time I'm writing it, I was editing all the dialogue that he was saying and stuff because I was I've seen the Twilight Zone a bunch, and I was just reading it in his voice out loud, like his pauses, his mannerisms, stuff like that. I was trying to make sure it was just right. So yeah, just one page, spent like 3 hours writing it, but it
So
turned out
are
pretty.
you like thinking about having somebody make the page, make the art for it in the future?
So I have a side project. What this side project is essentially like, if I'm hitting a roadblock or just tired of this one series I'm working on, I just jump over here. I won't say the title of the name. It's a random title, but uh, basically it's any random stories that I have. It'll be an anthology, but it's any of the random stuff I have that doesn't fit into a theme of any of these other anthologies that I'm writing, the series I'm writing. Um, and so anytime I just want to like step away from those for a second, just write something
Mm-hmm.
weird or random, I hop over here. So it'll be a part of that. That one, like I want it to be at least 5 issues, but it's one of those things where it could go on however long,
Yeah.
because it's anytime I get a good random idea and it doesn't fit with any of these other series, I just pop it into here. So it's one of those things. So I'll have to wait till at least 5 issues are written of that, and then start doing more with it.
All right. Well, got a lot of projects we're looking forward to hearing from about Brandon, and we'll be looking out for the next big thing you're doing, man. uh, I think I have a Kickstarter coming up, and then after that, you will probably have your Kickstarter um, firing up. I think you didn't want to have them too close, so you got one
Yeah,
for
I'll probably
January.
do Gallows Man 3 in September,
Hmm.
and then I'll probably do Dismay Avenue 3 in January or February.
Those are probably good months.
Yeah.
You don't want to make anybody go through that in December holiday
Yeah, I
season.
make sure to never have a Kickstarter uh like when Black Friday is happening to the end of December, basically.
Yeah.
Like I've had Kickstarters in like October, but I made sure they ended a week or two before Black Friday.
Hmm.
So
Well, another good tidbit of advice from Brandon. Um, I've been American Demon Comics here on American Dismay with Dismay Comics. You can find our socials in the link or in the description. Links to our socials in the description below. So appreciate y'all watching, and I'll catch you next time, Brandon.
take care.